Are you a mentor, first time, maybe experienced, and you're not really 100% sure on the agenda that you should be using for your mentoring sessions? If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's go.
Hi folks, welcome to the Moving Beyond Being Good podcast by Gary Ryan from Organisations That Matter. In this podcast, Gary shares everything about servant leadership, service leadership, authentic leadership, how to create high performance cultures, service excellence, and life balance. Here's your host, Gary Ryan.
Thank you, Sienna, for your lovely introduction. Now, folks, for mentors, budding mentors and experienced mentors, let's assume you've held your first session and or you've got information about the mentee's goals. This is a structure that you can use for your sessions with your mentees, whether that be in person or online. This structure works. So the first thing that you do is in your general chit chat at the start, make sure it's positive. Set a positive vibe right from the start. Now, let's say it's the middle of winter, it's freezing cold, it's even raining or maybe snowing outside. And instead of going, oh, isn't it cold, and be negative about it, find something else to chit chat about at the start to set that positive vibe. So, for example, it is winter in Australia right now, but Australia's sitting third on the Olympics table, having won a record number of medals. What an easy place to start to set a positive vibe, even if the other person isn't that interested in the Olympics. It doesn't matter. It just sets that vibe. Then we go straight into asking your mentee to share a win since the last session that they've had, or you can even be more specific and say a win from the last week. Now, when you first do this, and you would explain it in the first session, when you say a win, it doesn't have to be a big win like I got a brand new job or I got a pay rise or whatever it might be. It can be a small win, something that maybe it might be a task that they had said that they were going to do, but for them, that's quite a difficult task, but they did it. That's a win. You see, all big wins come from the accumulation of small wins. All big wins come from the accumulation of small wins, and that means small wins matter. Next, after you've got them to identify a win, you go through the agreed actions and learning that they were going to do from the last session. Now, if they say they haven't done it, we want to unpack that. We want to use our questioning and listening skills to understand and to push, if necessary, them to be able to understand, hey, I committed to this and I'll let something get in the road. So it's a bit of working on their mindset. So when I say push, I don't mean aggressively so. What I mean is that we are using our skills to be a little bit uncomfortable in that space because we are holding them accountable, which we have agreed to do in that first session. So in that first session, part of the conversation has to be about your role to hold them to account. Now, as a mentor, your role is to help them uncover their own answers, but equally to point them in the direction of information for them to go and study. You want to teach them how to fish. You don't want to be giving them the fish, using that metaphor. So when they ask specifically for your advice ought to be around where to go for information to help raise their level of knowledge so they can then come back with that knowledge and have a conversation with you that you can guide them through to help them surface what actions they might take. So often that part's a two-step process when they ask you for advice. Often a first-time mentor will go straight into just giving advice. Well, that might not actually be the best thing to do. In fact, I would argue it's not the best thing to do for the person that you're mentoring, even though they've got time pressure on you. They want you to give them this advice and just tell me what to do. The issue with that is if you just tell them what to do, they don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing, and they're not really going to remember it for the next time if there is a next time for them. So your job is to point them in the direction of some key concepts. Now, equally, you may spend the first session explaining some key concepts about how our minds work and how goals work and how targets work and things like that, and how accountability, of course, works. And they can be some general principles that you return to throughout your mentoring program in the sessions. So as you're exploring through their actions from the last time and their learning, these things can pop back up. Next on the agenda should be their specific area of focus, a challenge, an issue, or an opportunity. And that's the framework: challenge, issue, opportunity that they're bringing to discuss with you for this specific session. Now, ideally, they've given you that information in advance. And if they haven't, you can deal with it. You're obviously going to listen and use your listening and questioning skills to help with that. Now, from a listening skills perspective, one of the things you need to have as a mentor is your listening skills. But secondly, I would argue educating your mentee about how to listen is only going to enhance their success, not only in the mentoring program, but in their entire life. So at the end of this video, there is a link to a short 11-minute video where I explain the absolute best technique for you to improve your listening that you can share with your mentees to help educate them about that. And then while you're in your sessions, that can be some of the material that you're utilizing as, if you like, a test of how well they're listening in the conversations that you're doing. So you can give them immediate feedback in that safe environment of your mentoring relationship. The last thing you do at the end of your session is identify the agreed learning that they're going to go and do and any specific actions that they're going to take. And of course, thank each other for the time that you spent with each other in preparation for that next session. So there you go. There's an outline for how you can conduct your mentoring sessions. It'll be of value for experienced mentors, but certainly if you're a first-time mentor, this is specifically to help you. I'm Gary Ryan from Organisations That Matter, and I look forward to having you on board with the next episode of the Moving Beyond Being Good podcast.